Did my man Luke from the Outdoor Boys really just expose the truth about the future for our children?
Walk in, chest great, we don't play. Staff talk sharp like a quiz on a Monday. Whiteboard wars, yeah, we grade all day. If you can't take the heat, stay out the hallway. Hey, this is the staff room. Say it loud, say it loud. The staff room.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Staff Room, my people. My name is Dr. Matos. I'm a 16-year veteran educator and author of How Leaders Motivate Teachers in Real Classrooms, The Practitioner's Guide. Get it on Amazon. Okay, listen. So today, I came across this video of a channel that I follow, and it's a gentleman by the name of Luke. He has a very, very, very successful channel called Outdoor Boys. He's also has another channel called Catfish and Carp. I myself enjoy fishing, and I can't wait for my son to get a little bit older so we can go. But he began as a lawyer, so he's very educated. He's successful, but he was given the opportunity to speak at George Mason's graduate ceremony, and I believe that he may have touched on what the future is for the educated children or our future graduates. The speech itself is about money, and I think that's important that he used that as a medium to communicate the underlying message. But he did this so subtly. I don't even know if he did it on purpose, but this is kind of what I pull from it. I want you to tell me what you think. Let's go ahead and check it out.
Some people call me a survival expert. Well, as a survival expert, I want to clear up a common misconception. Survival is not something we just do in the woods. Something each and every one of us has to do every single day. And whether you're building a fire or gutting a moose or drafting a motion, we're just trying to survive as best we can with the resources we have. So I would like to help give you some advice to survive whatever's coming next. And while I do not know what your future holds, I can tell you that the world is changing at a terrifying and fascinating pace. I remember watching the Berlin Wall come down live on television as a child. I remember hearing about the internet for the first time.
90s babies, he's speaking to us right now. Definitely speaking to us because we've lived through everything.
I thought it was a fake. I didn't understand that. I was an adult the first time I ever saw an email. I was married when 9/11 happened. And the year before I went to law school, this thing called YouTube was invented. I was practicing for 3 years before I ever got my first social media account. I've seen 7 US wars, 6 recessions, and I've survived 1 global pandemic so far. I'm only 47. I don't know what the next 40 years holds for you. But I doubt any of us are going to get through it without seeing terrible and amazing things. We don't know what these changes are going to be, but we do know they're coming. You need to be ready to grab the opportunities that are going to come in this changing world. And you need to be ready to survive the storms. And the best...
This makes me super excited because in October, I'll be attending my commencement for my doctorate. And it's just so funny to see, all of these people here, but also to see him there. And I'm wondering who they're going to have speak at ours at Purdue.
Survival advice I can give you is very pragmatic. I would say save some money. It's pretty simple, but it's not. The most important things are often simple, but hard to do. Money is freedom, money is power, money is flexibility.
I want to make sure I point out that he is going to talk about money, but he made a very specific point to say, save some money. Because in today's day and age, we're very confused about the value of the dollar, especially with our current political climate. But we are so obsessed with making it that we forget that it's valuable. We watch so many people on TV burning it that we forget that it's so hard to make. So instead of talking about how important money is, he wants to focus on the idea of saving the money itself.
When change happens, those people who can afford to adapt can prosper and take advantage of those opportunities. And those who cannot afford to be flexible get crushed. I want to share a little bit of some experience from my life with this. During the third year of law school, 2008, the U.S. housing market imploded. 16 million homes were foreclosed. The unemployment rate was twice what it is today. Law firms across the country were closing. And when I sat in those seats, 1 out of 3 law students didn't go on to get law jobs. Okay, I was clerking for a firm that had 35 attorneys, and when 3 months before graduation, I was laid off, and that firm was a solo practice. By the time I sat for the bar, I was in panic mode. I put out 3,200 resumes to law firms and lawyers across the country. I got 15 job interviews and no job offers. I remember driving to Boynton Beach, Florida, because there was an entry-level associate position advertised. And I remember interviewing for this, and the partner points out the door at a well-dressed professional woman in her 50s who was being trained to make copies and run the coffee machine. She goes, "See that woman there?" I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "That's our new receptionist. She's a licensed attorney with 20 years of experience." 300 people applied for her job, many of them licensed attorneys. Why do you think you deserve to get an associate position? And I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Because I am very, very good looking." Go big or go home, right?
If y'all have never watched the Outdoor Boys, this dude is incredible. I would love for the opportunity to meet him, because one thing about him is he puts family before absolutely everything. And I hope that I can be this good of a father as he is. He turns off all the comments because his sons are with him. He takes his sons everywhere, even since they were babies. He takes them on all fishing trips, everything. Turns all the comments off. So he doesn't want to hear anybody's mouth. But the guy treats everyone like this. Even when he has a situation that he's dealing with, or he's sick or something, he's always like this. Or I hope I could figure out how to cognitively be that self-aware that I can treat everyone around me like this. Because I know, listen, we're not all of us are this great.
I did not get that job. I did not get that job. I couldn't back it up. But I walked away from that convinced that it was going to be easier to steal people's clients than it was to get a job. And so I said, I'm going to start my own law practice. October 2009, I got my law license. The ink wasn't dry, and I had my law firm started. And the very next day, I was open for business. I worked for 13 months for free. And I spent $15,000 on multiple failed advertising campaigns trying to drum up business. And on the 14th month, it all changed. My final advertising campaign blew up, brought in tons of clients. My law firm exploded, and it made my family very well off. And the very first employee I had was a guy from my graduating class. And he had good.
I don't know how familiar you all are with body language and being able to read certain things. As I'm somewhat of a neurodivergent, so my mind tends to focus on certain things when I'm speaking to people and when other people are speaking. But if you ever need proof that somebody really cares about something or has an issue with something, as I said, this guy is one of the greatest family men I've ever seen on YouTube. Notice how he tripped himself or got tripped up, and he just said the word family. That's how much he cares about his family. And out of all that talking, that was the thing that triggered an emotional response.
EPA. He'd been on the Journal and internships and, everything I wasn't. And I was graduated second from the bottom of my class, and I was the weird dude who was always fishing instead of studying, and I was a hot mess as a student. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about the differences in trajectory, and I'm convinced it's not skill and it's not intelligence that prevented him from doing what I did. It was money. I had money in the bank and he had debts. I could afford to work for free for 13 months. I could afford to take risks. He could not. I have often reflected on this. I was very fortunate to have money at that period of time. I had been given an opportunity to work construction in Alaska and raised by good people who taught me to save and invest aggressively. And I was fortunate enough to marry a wonderful woman who also worked hard and saved money. Not everybody is that fortunate. I cannot.
Again, when he talked about his wife, an emotional response. You have to watch his channel. Like, his wife is awesome too, but you just have to see this guy. Hopefully one day, like, he is able to get his flowers, because he's got, millions and millions and millions of followers. But yeah, I would say nobody deserves it more than this gentleman.
Honestly say I deserve the success I have. All I can say is that I did not waste the opportunities that were gifted to me. If you are fortunate enough to be given a chance to earn some money and to survive out there, please do not waste that opportunity that you've been given. When you have money in the bank, you have options. When you are living paycheck to paycheck, you have two options. You work every single week or you go bust. People who are not saving money are one problem away from disaster. And the only thing I can guarantee you about your future is problems will come. Now, there are a lot of things we cannot control. There are no guarantees in life. That is why it's so important to save. If you are fortunate enough to be one of those people that gets a paycheck, you have been given an opportunity that not everybody gets. Do not waste that opportunity. Now, what's the point of all this? Am I telling you you stop eating out a few times and life's all going to be great and you're going to be rich? No, I'm not saying that at all. I do not know what we are going to have to do to survive the next 40 years. But I can tell you that your odds of success are much, much greater if you spend less than you make and you save money aggressively. So much of my success was because of God, my parents, my family, and other people, and things outside of my control. I was blessed with opportunities, and the best I can say is that I didn't screw it up. I don't know what opportunities and dangers are going to come. But if you are fortunate enough to get a paycheck, don't you screw it up either, okay? Save as much as you can, as quick as you can, because some amazingly wonderful opportunities are coming your way. And if you're going to be ready to take advantage of those and to survive the storms, you're going to have something in reserve. So good luck out there. I know you can do it.
Okay, so I think this is an inspirational speech on levels far beyond most people are going to perceive it. I don't want to say comprehend it, because I think everybody can comprehend it, but in terms of perception and how you see it, there's a couple things that you could take away from this, and one of them reveals the truth about where education is taking us into the future. The first thing that I think that's important is that he acknowledges the fact that money has become such a vehicle for popular culture that it has not been understood by the younger generations. No matter whatever that reason is, okay, for whatever reason that is, we seem to be more infatuated with making it, and we'll go broke trying to get to that point. And people forget that this world, it operates on percentages. So the percentage of people that are going to make the same amount of money their parents made doing work of equal value is very, very, very low. Okay, and that's going to lead me into my next and most important point. But because being rich has been such a pop culture status, it's become a false reality for those that are not rich. So much so that people will go out and break themselves buying clothes to look rich. There's a whole market for jewelers selling fake jewelry because people can't afford to buy real jewelry. And I believe that's because those companies realize people can't afford it anymore. So now they pay people to market fake jewelry to make it socially acceptable for people to go out and purchase their product. So what Luke is saying is that stop buying into that false lifestyle and prepare yourself for the future by saving and being realistic about what reality is. Money's a great thing to have, but not everybody's going to have it. And I hate to tell you that every time you hear, oh, I'm a trader, I'm this and I'm that. Listen, guys, the percentage of people that are successful doing so is very low. Oh, I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur. The percentage of successful businessmen is very low. It's very low. And God forbid you have a family and then you have to try to build a business from the bottom up. That's not easy to do anymore. So that's I think that's the most important point for a blanket audience is make sure that you're aggressively saving your money, because just having right now, and we're going to get into it, just having the ability to earn a paycheck is a blessing. And even though the people at my job drive me insane, and even though there's days that I just can't wait to move to the next level, I'm blessed to have a paycheck. Now, this brings me to what Luke has unintentionally exposed about our educational system. Not the educational system, but our educational reality and the up-and-coming generations. He has said that he applied for 4,000 different jobs, and he only had about 50 interviews? The reason for that is because college is now a prerequisite for almost everything. We have such and I thank God for this, but I guess we want to say the millennial generation and the generation that came up 90s and early 2000s have become so educated that they're now competing with each other for entry-level jobs. But the point I'm making is that the up-and-coming generations are being told a false narrative that education isn't important, when in reality, they're going to have to compete with all of these other degrees and educational training. And I don't care what you think about education, it's important, because I promise you, if we all go to get a job at the same place and I have my doctorate and this place requires some form of intelligence, and it's not just like, a McDonald's or something, I'm going to get the job overview. I'm going to. And an experience right now is at high commodity. They're not just pulling anybody in off the street because they don't want to educate new employees. It just shows you what the value of education is. So Luke just basically told you what to expect. So for all of you people that are barking about homeschool this and virtual, and listen, that's wonderful. You do what you feel is right. But the reality is, your child is going to have to get a degree to compete with other people for entry-level positions. And if you think that your homeschool, I guess, certificate or diploma is going to stand up against a professionally educated student, you're sadly mistaken. And there is thousands of them. They have a whole market for AI apps that complete and apply for jobs for you, because people have to apply for thousands and thousands of jobs before they get one. And the jobs are out there. If you don't understand right now that the importance of education is more so now than it ever will be, then you're crippling the potential of your children and yourself. And that would be a terrible thing if your kids struggled in life. But why not just say, you know what? I'm going to make sure my kids are well educated by professionals. Be selective. Obviously, be selective, because I tell my wife this all the time. You have to meet who's going to educate your kids. You have to be confident in them, not the school, but the person. So make sure you have people skills, and you can understand what people's intentions are, because there's some great educators out there that are going to take your kids far beyond the next level, and they're going to inspire your kids. And I have another video coming up on one of my students when I was teaching a while back, and how I inspired him, and I'm thankful for that. But make sure you're paying attention on who's going to inspire your kids, and they're good and they're passionate, because moving into the future, it's going to be a dog eat dog world, and educated people, they're going to win the race, and uneducated people, they're gonna wear their Jordans and their designer jeans right up to the job interviews that they're gonna be denied for. Staff room.
Walk in, chance great, we don't play.